the opportunity to be innovative with regard to not just the tariffs, but also other technology aspect. And we therefore launched Tata Photon. And I recall that when we launched Tata Photon for 2-3 years that I was there, we had as much as 65% of the revenue share of the market.
Hi everyone. Today we have Mr. Anil Sardana with us. He has had a extremely value-adding career. He is value-added to the industry that he's been in, to the society, to the country, to the organizations that he's worked for. And we will learn from him how to contribute to the society and build a career that is worth emulating. Welcome, Mr. Sardana, to our Leadership Interview Series.
Thank you, Prashant. And thank you for your very generous words. I'm not sure how many of those one should take it in one stride. I would rather say that I was lucky to be perhaps at the right place at the right time, and therefore got the opportunity to contribute in different sectors.
Thank you very much. So let's start from your school and college and understand that how did your personality got shaped? What helped you to shape your personality and intelligence in your early life?
The schooling in the initial part was in Mumbai, and since the father had a transferable job, from 6th standard onwards, I moved to Delhi and studied in Sardar Patel Vidyalaya in Delhi, and then went and did my engineering from Delhi College of Engineering, University of Delhi. And then, of course, the employment quest started, where in parallel one did the part-time MBA as also, part-time ICWA, just for the sake of understanding how the other subjects which are in humanities look like. One of the colleagues who used to sit besides me challenged one day saying, it's easier to do engineering, but very difficult to do finance courses. So I said, okay, in that case, what's the option? He said, ICW is the only one that you can do alongside the job. I'm really happy to tell you that I did all that course in just one shot. So those are fabulous scientific courses or the scientific subjects. A lot of people make out as if those are also something where you need to be imaginative. It's not so. I found all of that was very, very methodical, very procedural. So it was fun. And thereafter, of course, one started one's career with the new corporation that had just started, which is NTPC. I was one of the early employees and stayed in that organization in all the formative years. And one learned to build the organization from scratch. And as one built, one learned a lot in terms of what are different facets and dynamics that one has to be cognizant about, particularly when you have the responsibility to create new benchmarks. So the desire to move away from the state-owned enterprises, which were at that time owning all the generating projects, to those which could be benchmarked to the best in the world, I guess that built the desired approach and attitude to the fact that one can't feel satisfied by just ticking the box or just achieving what could be called as nameplate fulfillment. So there we were a young team, and we could build stations in record times, including beating some of the international records by a good margin, and then operating the same assets to the fullest and to levels which again brought us pride in terms of being benchmarked, in terms of efficiencies, in terms of commercials. I left that company in 1993-94 and opted to be in Mumbai. That's when I joined BSCS. It was a municipal body. And Ministry of Finance, which was the largest shareholder of that company at that stage, decided to create a change management team. So my then boss of NTPC was moving there, and I moved along with him. And it was happy to be part of that team, which eventually really turned it around. But then I saw someone buying its equity, and I was very clear that there'll be change of ownership. So before the new owner could step in into that company, I changed and joined Tata Group. And that's when one had the fortune of being part of Tata Power for initial years when they deputed me to Delhi to turn around the Delhi distribution, which we took over from state-owned enterprise. And when I came back, had the opportunity to head telecom. And last but not the least, thereafter the entire larger group of Tata Power. So that's been the story. And then after superannuation came to Adani's in 2018. And it's been now 5.5 years, and one has enjoyed building the energy portfolio, as also now the new responsibility also is very fascinating. It's once in lifetime opportunity to look at social transformation of people, where you can impact their quality of life and give back something to the society. That's the objective that one has at this day and age in life. And I'm so happy that I've been bestowed with that possibility.
That's so wonderful. Could you tell us about two largest or the largest contributions or the biggest achievements in all these organizations that you turned around?
Okay. I guess instead of talking recency, opportunities, or recent assignment, let me take you back to the two that I enjoyed undertaking those assignments. Of course, whether they have to be christened as turnaround or successful, that is for others to judge. But one was the reform that we did in Delhi, where not just commercially, but in terms of customer services, emerged to be one of the lovable distribution companies. And we use technology to bring pleasure and reliability in every facet of how a retail distribution company should perform. So today, that Delhi distribution continues to be one of the well-performing discoms in the country and perhaps in the region. So that's one very satisfactory stint that I had. And the second one that I would say was the telecom, where I was given the opportunity of going into that venture when there were difficult days, and one could, in short tenure, commercially abet that organization with fiscal resources by getting entity Docomo to become partner. And one could launch 3 brands that I remember eventually went on to become their lead brands in that sector. One was Tata Docomo, the second one was Tata Photon, and the third one was Tata Walkie. All these 3 happened that time. And in Tata Docomo, we also launched a concept called pay-per-use or pay-per-second, which was something that became the buzz for the town, and we really had the net value add and customer addition, which was the highest for those times, till we got finally blocked by the non-allocation of spectrum. So these two, Prashant, I would take the liberty of stating as 2 very satisfying change management that I recall prior to this last 5.5 years, where one has had the opportunity to build several parts of the institution.
What were the biggest challenges and how did you circumvent them in turning around a state-owned entity to a very highly competitive and professional private sector entity while in NDPL?
Prashant, the simple byline would be trust on people is what I would say a singular factor in the two organizations of the two transformation, companies that I mentioned. The first one was state of art in manipulation when we took over in 2002. In fact, I used to joke with people that if you get McKinsey's or the best of consulting people from the globe, they won't be able to add any new manipulative practice that wasn't in vogue. The milieu was one of gratification, manipulation, cheating, and one could change those very people because people aren't bad. It's the circumstances, it's the situation which compels them to be what they are. I can only tell you today, in hindsight, 20 years later, that today, even today, the same very people who were part of that organization at that time are a transformed lot. And they were transformed in the first year and a half itself. And that's how they started to bring about the pleasure to the customer and to the delight of the stakeholders. So it's the people part. And I've been always of the view that creating performing team is the biggest satisfaction that one has in different ventures. Because it is people who make the difference. So for me, it's a people's perspective, and I always take the liberty of saying human is no more a resource. Human is a potential. And therefore, if a people's perspective can be taken to a point where the potential can be harnessed, which every human being has. Nobody comes to, foul around or just play marbles in the organizational setup. Everyone wants to be recognized by peers. Everyone wants to deliver to the utmost. Different people could have different strengths, but if you can hone that perspective of people where their strengths can be brought to the fore, I guess we have achieved what we are destined to do. That's been the biggest satisfaction, I would say, singular biggest satisfaction.
That's so nice to know and understand. And when it comes to telecom, it was a new industry for you. You had been in power sector always, and power sector was primarily generation. Distribution was just about privatized, and that too in very small pockets. And from there, you came to a very highly competitive industry like telecom, where there was cutthroat competition. There were 7, 8 players in the industry, and each one trying to and vying to be a leader. And clearly, Taj Teleservice had been trying for several years to be the leader, and I do know and remember because I was with Tata Strategic Management Group. And then, of course, I moved to Gallup and I continued my relationships with the group and the group companies and the group leaders. And I do realize how frustrating it was even for the group. And they certainly saw something great in you and they chose you to lead the company. And so, how was this transition from a very, B2B and reasonably regulated, and if I may call it, reasonably monopolistic industry to a hyper competitive industry, and then turning around a company in such a hyper competitive industry?
Well, once again, thanks for all that generosity that that chose me for any specific reason. I guess it could have been the other way around, that nobody else was wanting to go and they chose me for that role. But anyway, coming back to the point that how one could transform from being a B2B person and a one who's worked in reasonably monopolistic environment and ecosystem to the one which was highly competitive. I guess one has to be clear that the responsibility, if you truly analyze in a monopolistic situation, is far more on the incumbents. For the simple reason that what choice are you giving to the customer? If you are not giving a choice to the customer, you've got to be more introspective about what you deliver to the customer. So therefore, that was the approach I took even in those ventures, including in Delhi, where I used to be taking the role of being a customer within. As to say that I will speak the language of the customer and you will have to satisfy me in every aspect of the word as to how are you proactively looking after the needs of the customer. But let me not go back. Let me talk about Tata Tele. So I clearly realized that when I went in there that the organization was very short of funding, very challenged on the morale within the system because there was a lot of churn and customers were being lost. So we quickly mobilized, enthusiasm within the people, and we started to look for a partner who would value the strengths that existed. And I'm happy that we got Docomo at a very good valuation. In fact, at that time, within the Tata Group, the valuation of the group was upwards of $12 billion for Tata Tele, and you could say we were second to TCS in terms of valuation. So that they came in with 26%, and we decided to launch a new product, which you have already talked about, so I don't have to dwell. And we said we should also use the opportunity to be innovative with regard to not just the tariffs, but also other technology aspect. And we therefore launched Tata Photon. And I recall that when we launched Tata Photon for 2-3 years that I was there, we had as much as 65% of the revenue share of the market. So it was a very successful product. And similarly, Walkie in terms of landline was one of the very enthralling value proposition to people, that the number could stay as landline number, 8 digit, but you could have it in your car, you could have it in your office, you could have it at your residence. And we even created a walkie-talkie kind of stuff by having a cordless. So imagine a cordless phone with 8 digit. So those were some of the stuff that one could do and enjoy, looking at the customer and meeting their needs, and using the technology to our advantage. So I guess the mantras are similar. You have to ultimately start thinking from the customer's eyes. If you can simulate that within your own biological and ecosystem, then people start enjoying it. They themselves start to say, no, this is not going to work. Well, this is what we want to do for the customer. And it's not just one paradigm. It's not just one technology. It's not just one branding. It's not just one tariff or ecosystem. It's the entire value chain, including how you deal with the customer at the counters, how you deal with the customer at the back office and stuff like that. All of that we could sort of bring up to speed, and that's how when things started to move. That was very pleasuresome, very good learning. I must, in fact, thank all the team members who were there at that time, who enabled me to learn telecom and learn the ropes. So it was it was a good experience that you were on the treadmill. So you were learning the ropes, staying fit, and making sure that you continue to contribute. So that was fun. In fact, my 3.5 years there was very satisfying, until I then was recalled back into Tata Power as the group CEO and managing director for the entire group. Yeah.
What would be your formula for youngsters to become effective leaders?
Again, as I said, my personal faith of the every human being is the fact that it's the ecosystem which changes persons' actions, their peers, their environment, several compelling reasons. So one has to psychologically understand what is in a person and what made a person what they are today. I can tell you that without, of course, exaggerating the issue, many of the people that I saw, not necessarily as employee, but in the Delhi environment, were nothing short of the name that you just mentioned or the word that you used. Because imagine, Prashant, 1,500 crore used to get distributed to public at large, and that won't get swallowed by common people. So therefore, at the end of that benefiction factor would be people of the type that you said. And they all changed today. As we talk, there is zilch, siphonage. So people aren't bad, except that you need to take the purpose to them, and I guess that's what works.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. So, just as
I can give you a very simple example that during my second year I saw. We used to do psychometric on some of the existing people, and we saw that some people weren't changing. So I came back and told the team that these people won't change because they have compulsions from perhaps their family environment to get gratification money. So, under the garb of English speaking courses and computer courses, we got their wives and children after office hours into various location offices that we used to have in retail distribution business. As you know, that every geography will have their setups. And we imparted this, where in the impartation of computer and English languages to wives and children, we did mention the fact that if you don't change your demand from your husbands and from your better half, they will lose the job. Because we know that you are compelling them and you're not letting them change. So they were so apt to, for example, if you have loose money, then you will do lots of loose activities, like you will have the best of saris or best of gold, and so therefore you will compel your better half to earn gratification money so that your bad habits can continue. But let me tell you with pride that these families, these kind of works, they change their husband. And I remember in one of the social function or Diwali Mela kind of stuff, some of the women came back and told me that we have never seen transformation of our better halves, because they used to drink, they used to smoke, they used to have bad habits, bad vices. All of that is gone. They now look forward to being part of the society. They look forward to being good citizens. I think there can't be anything more satisfying than that.
no, that's so wonderful. That's so wonderful, and that I think all of us need to emulate that to become effective leaders. And in the end, I would like to request you for two words about our relationship or our work with Adani Power in terms of improving the engagement and retention of youngsters that we're working with you.
Prashant, as you know, I have tremendous faith in one singular aspect in the people's perspective, which is engagement. And fortunately, with your background of having worked in Gallup and then subsequently running this entire concept of improvisation on the engagement side, one can't get those benefits, until you get experience lot to change the first time managers, change the middle managers, which at times become willy-nilly the insulation between the top management and the youngest lot. Youngest lot these days has a lot of wisdom, lots of passion, lots of fire. Similarly, the top wants to bring about transformation, change, improvement, continuing excellence, but willy-nilly the managers with the routines and responsibilities become like a dielectric, and therefore the conduction between the bottom and the top doesn't happen. And one tool that helps know that in a differentiated basis, manager to manager level, is the engagement scores. And therefore the intervention of people like you and your team genuinely is able to lend help to organizations like ours, which are very diverse, multi-locational, to bring this entire inclusive aspect into managers to say how they need to be team players, how they need to make sure that they need to have trust, faith, and empower the people below, and therefore get the best out of them. I guess that's what one enjoys, and thankful to you, not now only, from the several years before when we have had this opportunity of working together on multiple projects.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your nice words and encouragement, and that really helps us. Uh, if you were to describe We Matter in three words, what will those three words be?
One, very affable. Number two, experience. And number three, the partners of choice.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. That means a lot to us. And with this,
Thank you, Prashant.
we will
Thank
close
you.
the interview today. Thanks for all your pearls of wisdom. I am certainly seriously benefited, and I've been benefiting from your wisdom for last 20 years. But I'm sure the larger emerging leadership, younger leadership will probably also get the opportunity of benefiting from you. And with that, I once again thank you.
Thank you. In
Thank
fact,
you very much.
one has lots of opportunities to learn from youngsters these days because they come with loads of wisdom and fantastic ideas. So look forward to continuing the journey. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.